Hello, coaster lovers. So the state of Florida is definitely a hotspot for theme parks and roller coasters. You have 11 great parks between the cities of Orlando and Tampa, and you have some worldwide famous parks such as Disney and Universal. But today I'm going to focus on one park, and this park looks amazing. That park is Busch Gardens Tampa. This park is themed after African culture, and it even features a zoo. Busch Gardens Tampa has 10, soon to be 9 roller coasters, and I'm going to rank all of them up. So this is all of Busch Gardens Tampa's coasters ranked. Welcome to King's Coasters. If you're new here and have been to at least one of the Florida parks, King's Coasters will be for you, and consider taking a brief moment to subscribe to support the channel. And if you've been here for a while, welcome back, and thank you for the great support. And speaking of that, I am so thankful that we hit a huge milestone for the channel, 100 subscribers. That is just surreal in my eyes. I did not know I would hit that milestone so soon, but we did it. It's because of you. Thank you for the support and making this channel grow. So let's kick the list off at the number 10 place, which is held by Air Grover, Zero Force 190. If you have heard of Fun Pilot at Wallaby, Belgium, or Alpine Express at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg, or the Candy Train at Clonmardon, it's the same ride, and yes, I translated that. You start off with the Helix, then a brief turn into another Helix, and that's it. This looks like a fun family coaster. The kids will definitely get a kick out of this ride, but it looks like the POV is over. So going to a ride that is now gone, this coaster looks It's Sand Serpent, a mock wild mouse. Like I said earlier, this wild mouse coaster looks I mean, the hairpin turns look zippy, and the first drop looks like it has a bit of airtime, but that trim brake just slams to a stop before the first drop. Imagine if that trim were off. It would be a great airtime moment, but we are stuck with it. But sadly, not anymore. This coaster sadly closed forever, and it's the day that this script has been typed, July 9th. That's only a couple days before my birthday, and yes, I'm a Cancer if you're into astrology. It's sad that this coaster is leaving. I've actually never done a wild mouse coaster before, which is kind of embarrassing. But there is one at Fun Spot Kissimmee, so I'm sure I'm going to get on that soon. So going from one family coaster to another, this coaster actually looks pretty interesting to me. It's Scorpion, a Schwarzkopf Silver Arrow. I have actually never done a coaster by Schwarzkopf before, so that's why these coasters are interesting to me. Scorpion looks like a fun family coaster with an inversion. I've heard Schwarzkopf loops are very intense, so I'm intrigued to try this ride out soon. But if you put that moment aside, this ride is a family coaster, so it is what it is. I also like the twisted sorta hill through the loop. It gives me vibes of Banshee when the loop wraps around the lift. Going from one family coaster to another, this ride is also pretty interesting, because I have never done this type of coaster before. It's Cobra's Curse, a mock spinner. I like the big Cobra statue for this coaster, and the spinner looks like a lot of fun. This ride is split into thirds. The first third is the forwards part, the second part is the backwards part, and the final third is the spinning part. This coaster is created by Mach, and just like Schwarzkopf, I had never done a Mach coaster before. It should be a lot of fun. And actually, the horseshoe turn at the spinning part reminds me of the horseshoe turn on Dwarvelwind at Toverland. I have also heard this ride is one of the best family coasters out there. I have high expectations for this family coaster. So going from family to thrill coasters, let's move on to Tigress, a Premier Ride Skyrocket 2. This coaster has been cloned a bit. You can find these at parks such as Busch Gardens Williamsburg, SeaWorld San Diego, and others. And these coasters look nice. Not the best out there, but not the worst. The forwards and backwards launches looks like they have some good zip. And the hardline roll at the top, amazing. This also looks very smooth, but I haven't really ridden any smooth premieres. I mean, Backlot is a sort of smooth ride, but Flight of Fear is definitely not. Tigress looks like a fun ride. And speaking of launch coasters, that will lead us into the next coaster, which is Cheetah Hunt, an intimate launch coaster. This reminds me of a baby Maverick, because the launches have some good zip, and the transitions are so fluid, but it's not as zippy as Maverick though. You also cannot talk about Cheetah Hunt without its most unique element, the Wing Catcher Tower. It is so unique. It's like a top hat, but with some turns at the top, and also at the top, you get some really good views of Gwazi, SheiKra, and the other coasters. Then you dive down into a trench. I also like the S-Hull over the Sky Ride. I haven't seen a lot of coasters that interact with the Sky Ride. One that comes to my mind is Monster at Adventureland, and here's a fun fact. During last December, aka New Year's, I actually drove by Adventureland and saw a monster. It was a cool experience, but back to Cheetah Hunt. The hardline roll in the middle of the ride actually looks pretty fun. It looks like it gives some hang time. Going from thrill to extreme, this coaster I don't really have high expectations for. It's SheiKra, a B&M dive. The first B&M on the list is SheiKra. This looks like the best hyper dive coaster, because the first drop looks like a house and float. The first drop looks and rides better than Valravn in my opinion. I've also heard it's better overall, and if you know me, you know that I think Valravn is not the best coaster out there. It just didn't really live up to the hype, but I've heard SheiKra is better, so I'm glad there is a great B&M dive coaster out there. Griffon also looks great. Also, the splashdown is the spritz of the memories of the amazing park Kings Island, because Diamondback has one as well. So I'm happy there is a splashdown at Busch Gardens Tampa. And also, the final helix is pretty lackluster. So going from one B&M to another, this ride looks wild. It is Kumba, a B&M sit down. This is a great coaster to talk about when the topic is old school B&M, because this ride looks zippy, especially the Hell Roll. That looks crazy. And speaking of inversions, the ride probably has the most picturesque set of inversions out there, the interlocking corkscrews. It looks great. The ride was actually rumored not that long ago for its demise, but luckily it was false. That happened to Sand Serpent. I hope this coaster at least has a few more years left, because this coaster looks awesome, and it's a rare model. There are not many sit-down coasters out there. You can find one of these models at Islands of Adventure, Silver Dollar City, Port Ventura, etc. Sticking with old school, this is another great coaster when you're talking about old school B&Ms. That coaster is Montu, a B&M invert. This is the best B&M invert, no questions asked, because this coaster looks wild, especially with all the trenches. The best one happens to be in the most intense part of the ride, the Batwing. That looks unreal. This coaster used to look sick, but now it looks like it survived a mustard attack. But I can look past coast games on any roller coaster. This coaster looks amazing, and I'm excited to experience it someday. I mean, I love Raptor, and this looks like a Floridian Raptor, so I'm pumped. And speaking of pumped, I am so dang pumped to experience this. And it's our last coaster on the list. It's Iron Gwazi, an RMC iBox. This easily takes the #1 spot, because this coaster looks like it places in the top 10 roller coasters in the world. This ride also gives me Steel Vengeance vibes, and if you know me, you know that I am obsessed with Steel Vengeance. It's godly, and I've heard this is even better than Steel Vengeance, so I'm really excited to go out to Tampa and experience it. The elements are amazing, like the first drop, the first outer bank, and especially the death roll. That looks crazier than the Hell Roll on Kumba. This might be my new #1 when I ride it someday. So when I visit Busch Gardens Tampa, I'm definitely getting a ride on this coaster. So what's your ranking of every single coaster at Busch Gardens Tampa? If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up, and it would be great if you subscribe to the channel. And if you want to watch any more of my videos, I got you. There's a video there you can watch, but the arrow might be a little bit off, but you get the point. But anyways, make sure to keep that adrenaline pumping, and thanks for watching.